Hey y'all, do you ever go on vacation and have the best time ever in a brand new place, and then you get back to your real world, your job, but you just cannot shake the feeling that you still want to be on vacation? You're just in that weird limbo mode. Oh, that's a good one today. Beautiful. But then you're just like in a full funk because all you can think about is how great that was. And oh my gosh, what if I live there? Can I live there? Well, that happened to me too. If you want to know how I managed to uproot myself and live on a super volcano for the past 11 years, then stick with me and I'll tell you how I did it.
That was a big itch.
So I reckon you wonder how I ended up living on a super volcano for the past 11 years. In 2008 and then again in 2009, my stepdad introduced me to Yellowstone National Park. The first year, we spent a week in West Yellowstone, lived in a hotel, which is great because that's at the west entrance. It's real easy access to all the park. It's a good place to have your home base. And the second time in 2009, we spent a week up in the cabins up at Mammoth Hot Springs and just hung out, and it was just fabulous. After the week in 2009, my mom and stepdad went on to continue their vacation to Alaska, whereas I had to drive back to reality in Colorado, which is where I was living at the time. I don't know what happened that week in Mammoth, but I got bit. I got bit by the Yellowstone bug, and I got bit bad. And all I knew was that I had to figure it out and I had to get there. And it took me a while. I didn't know quite what to do. I had a great life in Colorado. I had a good job. I was living 15 miles from Rocky Mountain National Park. I was commuting a lot. I was commuting like 80 miles a day, round trip. But I wasn't unhappy. But I just couldn't shake Yellowstone. I'd sit at my office and I would just remember the things that I did and things that we saw. And so I decided I would go camping. I've been camping forever, but it hadn't been in years. I had all the gear and didn't really have anybody to play with. So I decided I was going to plan myself a solo camping trip to Yellowstone National Park, and that's what I did. I spent 6 months planning my adventure, ordering supplies, going through my existing camping gear, upgrading, researching Yellowstone. I made reservations at the uh, campground up at Canyon. Canyon sits up at 8,000 feet, and it's up near the lower and upper falls. It's one of my favorite places in the whole park is that waterfall. When it came time, I packed up I had an Xterra at the time, and I loaded it up. I left in the wee hours of the morning, and I drove from Loveland, Colorado. I drove to Jackson Hole. I spent the night, and then next day I drove on up through the south entrance of the park, all the way up to Canyon, and set up camp. First time ever camping by myself. Was in grizzly country. Borrowed my boyfriend's dog because the boyfriend refused to go camping or hiking. So I borrowed his dog instead. So me and his dog went. I took his dog and left the boyfriend at the house. And that's the way that went. After a week in camping with my boyfriend's dog in Yellowstone by myself, I had to drive back to Colorado. And I'll tell you what, I drove straight through 12 and a half hours and I cried the whole way. Total silence, no radio. I'd spent 5 days really only speaking words that the dog understood. And I remember stuttering over my words when I went to West Yellowstone and actually talked to a human for the first time in a week. I couldn't speak. When I got home from those camping trips with my borrowed dog, my boyfriend had met me at my cabin when I got back. But the minute that he got there to my cabin he got in the house, the very first thing he did, the very first thing he did was turn on the TV. It was instant noise to me, and my anxiety just went. I mean, it was just instant noise and interruption of the time I had just had, and I just realized right then and there that I was still in Yellowstone. And I needed to get back to myself. Yeah. Mm. You might wonder why I drove home in silence from those camping trips and in tears the whole way. It was just because I was so pulled into the energy of Yellowstone National Park, the lifestyle, the simplicity of just life, and the very energy that that place emanates or has. It's tremendous. It is a tremendous feeling. But when I got back to Colorado, I was just not the same. Um, I cried the whole way home. And like I said, I had a great setup, but I knew I had to figure it out. I had to go to Yellowstone and I had to figure it out. So I started researching Yellowstone National Park and the surrounding area. And I found there's a lot of work camper opportunities. There's a lot of seasonal jobs there. I don't know if y'all know this, but Yellowstone closes twice a year. It's open for the summer season and then it closes, and then it's open for a winter season for only 3 months. So there's a lot of seasonal opportunities there. So I went camping by myself up at Canyon in 2010. And then I went again in 2011 by myself. And that was just it. I had to go. In 2012, my world in Colorado just fell apart. The next thing I know, I found myself in Texas in the summertime, sweating to death, and adopted Project Lonesome Dove, as I called it. Lets the rest of us get on to Montana. So right then and there, I spent the next 6 months plotting my escape out of Texas to Montana. I was going to Yellowstone. And in January of 2013, I pulled that trigger. Yeah, that's what I did. I packed up, I had an Xterra at the time, and I packed up all my winter gear, my cats, um, everything that would fit. And like an idiot in January, I took off and I drove from Texas all the way to Montana. So you might be wondering, where did I end up first when I got to Montana? Well, I overshot and I went to Missoula. I drove through a snowstorm in Butte. I should have stopped. I didn't. I kept going. My Xterra was loaded. I was heavy. So I just trucked along, plugged along, got all the way to Missoula finally. I stayed at the Motel 6 that night. Next day, I went and I signed the papers on my apartment and I unloaded my Xterra. I just set up home there. I slept on the floor for a long time. I made a big pallet and I rented a recliner chair from Rent-A-Center, I remember, for a while, and I ended up taking that to West Yellowstone with me. But anyway, I left Texas with a place to go, so I did have an apartment lined up, and that was, I needed that. I couldn't just go. I wasn't equipped and having that in my mind to like sleep and, wasn't trying to be homeless. I was just trying to transition in a way that was somewhat familiar and that I thought I could do. So that's what I did. Just to clarify, when I went to Missoula, I had already arranged to have an apartment, just a regular corporate apartment. In my mind, I needed the ease of, I just needed a place to live. So, there was apartments. I needed a sizable enough town to where I could do that. I should have went to Bozeman. In hindsight, if I did it now, that's where I'd go to start. Because of the situation that happened to me in Colorado, I was actually drawing unemployment. So the 6 months I was in Texas, I was on unemployment and was doing all my research, Project Lonesome Dove. Anyway, I went to Missoula and then I immediately was like, I'm 4 hours too far. But I got a temp job, started working, I settled in, all the while diligently looking for jobs in West Yellowstone. There are a lot of seasonal jobs in Yellowstone National Park, and it's a big park. There are 5 entrances to the park, and at each entrance is some type of hub. But in the interior of the park, there are also, jobs like Old Faithful, all the gift shops, Tower, Mammoth, Grant Village, all of them have little gift shops and ice cream stands, and everybody needs help. So there are jobs. There's no doubt there are jobs, and it is a thing, and people do it, and it's a great opportunity. For me, however, I had to wait a little bit. One day I got 2 job interviews on the same day, actually. I packed up, and it's about a 4-hour drive from Missoula to West Yellowstone. So drove down there, had both interviews, got both jobs, accepted one of them because it was full-time year-round and it was in my line of work. I'm a bookkeeper by trade. This was an accounting position, a bookkeeper position, but it was at a tour company. So it was great. My new boss helped me get housing. So she got an apartment for me. I mean, I had to pay for it, of course, but she helped me find it and secured it for me. So I had a place to go. I had a place to live. I ended up finding a house that I rented for a few months. That was way more expensive. I should have kept with the apartment. So, but anyway, that's a side note. Once I got my job in West Yellowstone, I came back and I was like 4 months, I think. Well, no, it was June, so it was 6 months. So I was able to keep a 6 month lease there. It took me 6 months to just sort of acclimate to Montana, find that job in West Yellowstone. It took me 2 trips because I had bought a couple things and I had too much stuff to fit in my Xterra, but I made a couple trips and moved officially to West Yellowstone, Montana in June of 2013. Best decision I ever made. I needed the security of a full-time job. I didn't want just a seasonal job. That didn't sit well for me. That was too risky, I guess. I chose West Yellowstone for the lifestyle. I wanted to be there for the park, and most people who move there move there because they want to be there for the park. And there are people that are born and raised there and they just stay there their whole lives. But the lifestyle revolves around the park schedule. So it's an interesting place to be. You're exposed to a lot of culture from all over the world, and you never even have to leave. One little piece of advice I do have: be open to doing whatever it takes to be there. If you want to be there in West Yellowstone and you want to work in and around the park, then just be open to doing whatever it takes to be there. You know, I had a couple of jobs that played out and pulled out from underneath me, and you know, some doings that didn't go in my favor, let's just say. And I found that, you know, I had to do whatever I had to. And so, yeah, I'm not above. I have scrubbed public toilets. I have um, worked in a commercial laundry. You know, it builds character. Don't be too proud to take a job if it means you get to stay where you want to be. It doesn't mean it's permanent. It's just a means for you to be there. I won't bore y'all with all the jobs I had over the past 11 years. Just to say that there has been a variety. Things do change. Businesses sell, change hands, and you might just get tired or you get a new opportunity. You never know when opportunity knocks. Sometimes the universe has a way of stepping in and aligning things up just so, for everything to just work out. And it really did feel like once I initiated my project Lonesome Dove and I got myself to Montana, it just seemed like after that, everything just sort of fell into place. And suddenly by June, there I was, half mile from the west entrance of Yellowstone National Park with a full-time year-round job using the skills that I have. And it put me in a place where I could have the world come to me and bring me all kinds of tidbits of wisdom. And I immersed myself in one of the most amazing places in this country, in this world. And I learned so much, and I'm so grateful. And yeah, it just goes to show that for me at least, I put my energy towards something that really pulled at my heartstrings after some time, and it wasn't quick, but life goes really fast, so things don't take too long anymore if you really think about it. But my perseverance paid off, and now I have some of the most amazing memories, and I'm so proud of myself for taking that leap and following my gut. I encourage you to do the same. For me, when I'm inside Yellowstone National Park, the world makes sense. My inner child is happy, my soul is calm and at peace. It is just down to the bare basics. It is life, death, food, water, shelter, your peeps, your companions, your herd. There's not all the billboards and normal just visual clutter that you have in normal towns and whatnot. I mean, there's signs, of course, but it's a national park. It's just different. It's a whole different world, different speed limit. It's just this little community inside this big bubble. I just love it. I love the energy there. That park is just alive. It's constantly moving. It's active. I mean, I just there's no two eruptions of Old Faithful that are the same. Every single time it's different. Yeah. If you've never been, you got to go. Documentaries and everything, those are great, but you got to go. You got to feel it. You got to smell it. You got to walk it. You just got to feel the energy. You got to get out of your car. Pack well. Wear good shoes. Take some snacks. But get out of your car and go explore. Something to note about small tourist towns, or at least it is the case for West Yellowstone. I can only assume it's the similar for some of the other places, is that oftentimes your job offers housing, so you have employee housing. Um, and that can be a really good thing, especially when you're just getting there and you don't know anybody, you don't know what to do, and it's not the kind of town where you just like go find an apartment. You know, it's a teensy tiny small town. You're 90 miles from anywhere, which is terrific. Beware, I will tell you this, that it's not always great to have your house tied to your job, because if your job goes sideways, or suddenly you're just done with it, then it's not just your job, it's now your house. So there's two levels that you suddenly have to be dealing with. It was very stressful there. There's more jobs there than there are houses, because a lot of places now are just turning over to like nightly rentals. Because housing is difficult, one thing that I was able to do was get an RV. There is one RV park in West Yellowstone that is open year round, which is very rare in Montana because of the cold. The water pipes just aren't deep enough. And but this one was set up way back in the day. I had some connection there, so um, I purchased an RV, a big fifth wheel. Her name was Penelope. She was awesome, and I managed to live in her full time year round in Montana, in West Yellowstone, Montana, throughout the winters for 7 years. I loved it, every minute of it. Um, it was not without its challenges. I had to do some intense insulation and stuff like that. So I learned lots about RV living, like heavy duty and survival. I have to say, even though it didn't happen quickly and it wasn't easy, even after I got there, moving to Montana was the best thing that I ever did. Having picked up and lived on a super volcano for the past 11 years, following my dream and living and absorbing the lifestyle and the energy of Yellowstone National Park, I really came into my own. Best thing I ever did. I'm stronger for it. I'm a better person for it. It wasn't without struggle, but I'm still here. I'm still going, and I have great, great memories to draw on and great experiences. I met a lot of great people. I consider myself a tomboy from East Texas, pretty rough and tumble, pretty feisty, very, very independent. Living in Montana was a completely different lifestyle for me than the lifestyle I had in Colorado by choice. I mean, I just wasn't that person yet, you know. Wow, what an experience, you know, just to get out of your comfort zone, come home from vacation, but you're just drawn. I was physically drawn to that area. Like it just pulled me. And I'm so proud of myself for finding my way, finding a way, any way. It's a tremendous feeling, and I'm really proud of myself for doing it. Now I have a whole different mindset of life. My camping and my lifestyle has evolved, and I'm still learning and adventuring and having trying to have fun. And I really appreciate how quickly time goes, how how short life really is, and we have to really appreciate every moment that we have in any way that we can. Yeah. So I encourage you to do the same. If there is some place that you've been to and that you just really want to go back and explore, or you just want to immerse yourself in something that's a different lifestyle than what you're accustomed to, try it. I mean, you can always go back. I promise you, the rat race is there. It's there if you want it. Me personally, I choose no. I find now that I can just live more simply in my day to day. I don't have to live in that rat race. Mm. I really came into my own having lived in Montana and around Yellowstone National Park. And what I mean by that is I really came into just who I am, who I've always been. I just didn't know it. I didn't appreciate who I am all these years. Maybe other people saw it, but I didn't. Or I mean, I always knew, but I didn't, you know what I mean? Like I came into my own. I don't really know how better to put that. I appreciate who I am. I'm an only child. I've always had to entertain myself. I'm used to being alone. I'm good by myself. But now, after these 11 years in Montana, um, I'm really good. Like, I am my own best friend. And I like it that way. I am a solo female. I live in my RV. I have a Jeep, I have a cattle dog. I'm almost too independent for my own good. Um, anyway, that's just the way it is. uh, I encourage you, if there's a place that draws your heart, that pulls you in, um, there's a way. There's a way. Just put your energy out there, and it's been my experience. if it's meant to be, it'll kind of fall into place. It will fall into place, just as it should be. Just follow that energy, put the energy out there, and then follow what comes. I know I have no regrets about getting up and uprooting myself and going to West Yellowstone. It's one of the best decisions I ever made in my entire life, and it made me a better person, and I'm stronger for it. And it's my happy place, and it'll always be one of my happy places, and I do consider it home. Life is really, really short. We only have today and maybe tomorrow if we're lucky. Go where you feel most alive and go as soon as you possibly can. My advice is if you're somewhere that just doesn't feel quite right, or you have some place that's just tugging at you, your very core, then I encourage you to do everything you can to go be there in however capacity you're able for however long you want to be there. And then don't be afraid to do it again.